Okay. All right. I have no idea how well this is going to work. This is my first time attempting to do a vertical stream through StreamYard. I think it's just doing it as a horizontal stream, anyways, with a vertical camera. I don't think this is going to show up as a short stream on YouTube or whatever. It's posting both to YouTube and Twitch, though. That's the main thing I wanted to make sure was possible. But StreamYard is a totally browser based application. So, like, I'm running this through Safari. I don't know how well that's going to hold up, you know. I don't know if my connection's going to be maintained either out here. I don't know if there's any sort of compensation that's usually being done on the phone's end or on YouTube's end or whatever. It is spaced out widescreen. Yeah, that's what I figured. Well, I guess we're doing the very incredibly rare walking around live stream that's in widescreen, uh, or at least widescreen in terms of how it's posted to the internet, not even in terms of how it's recorded. But whatever, it makes enough sense, I guess. Hello, hello, Sock Rabbit and Quinola. Welcome to the park. It's like 11:45 in the afternoon. It's very hot out here in Virginia Beach. Well, not Virginia Beach. I'm in Norfolk, Ward's Corner. I always forget because I'm used to being in Virginia Beach and not in Norfolk. It's my first time living here. Um, Nonetheless, Virginia, it hot. Uh, so I found myself in the shade. Had to get out of the house though. Can't spend all my time doing doing indoor shit. Not only because I don't really have I don't really have access to an office from 9 to 5 on weekdays, but also, I don't like being cooped up all the time. Never getting out, going outside. It's good to stretch your legs and feel the air, even if it's very hot air. Well, the breeze is actually pretty nice right now. So as long as I'm not in the sun, it's not too bad. Why Norfolk? That's where my parents live. Just simply, I live where they are. It's also where my brother Victor and his wife Hope live. Norfolk is pretty much just right next to Virginia Beach, which is where we had, you know, pretty much grown up. We always moved a lot, but we mostly moved within different places within Virginia Beach. So, it's a familiar area. But Victor went to film school in Norfolk, so ultimately he made all of his connections and his opportunities in Norfolk, which is a much more dense city. Virginia Beach is like a big suburb, just a ridiculously massive suburb. Norfolk's like an actual city. So, um, my parents had been living in Huntington Beach for the last 5 years or so because they had moved into. My dad bought the place where my granddad was living in Huntington Beach. And eventually they finally sold that and moved to Norfolk to buy a house here because right now this area of Norfolk, Ward's Corner, is undergoing rapid gentrification. So they're building all these nice houses into these neighborhoods and slowly flipping this area that has traditionally been somewhat ghetto. But it seems to be working. The gentrification is spreading. I don't know how it's going to go. But, you know, it's an interesting place to live because my parents have the money to live in like a relatively nice house in a relatively nice part of this area, and then everything that they engage with monetarily is outside of the area. This is why gentrification kills local business and mom and pops, is that they are vegan, so they have to go all the way into town, to find the kind of food they're going to eat and bring it back home, and they can afford to do that. I can't. So for me, it's like, well, the cool thing about living here is that the food directly around me is incredibly cheap. You know, The bad part is that people get stabbed sometimes. So um, it's interesting. It's a very dystopian sort of situation I found myself in here. A very cyberpunk type of a vibe I've gotten from being at the economic level of the people around me, but unable to afford housing here. Whereas the people who can't afford housing here are leaving the area to get there. I don't think my parents are going to be here for long. I think they're going to eventually find this inconvenient. I don't think Bird and I are going to be here for long. Certainly a lot less long than my parents are. Um, but you know, even if even if we stayed in this area, Bird works like way far. He works on the other side of the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel, which, if you haven't heard us talking about it, the traffic is unfathomably bad on this tunnel basically every day through the summer. And it's because of a combination of tourism, people going to and from Virginia Beach, using this bridge from the peninsula, which is what it connects to, where Newport News is, and Poquoson, and Hampton, and fucking all of these cities that are like the other big cities on the other side of the water. There's just been this 2-lane bridge to service all of this for like 70 years, and they're now finally building another 2-lane bridge, and they've completed parts of it, but they're also refurbishing the original bridge. So like, it's going to be years before all 4 lanes are accessible. And so not only is there construction happening on this bridge, so sometimes they're just closing it outright, but also there's an accident there every single day. Every day in perpetuity, there has been an accident on this bridge that closes the bridge during rush hour. And again, there's like 6 major cities connected half and half by way of this fucking bridge as the only convenient way to get, like, it literally adds like 45 minutes to go use another bridge or to try to get around somehow. So most people who live in these areas, they really try not to ever fuck around with this bridge. They're like, if I don't have to go to the peninsula or back, I won't. We had a motherfucker at a Norfolk bar tell us that he didn't consider Newport News a real place. We were like, what the fuck do you mean by that? What he means by that is, I don't cross that bridge. I don't go over there. That's not real to me. So if you have to cross that bridge every single day back and forth for work, and sometimes that bridge is just stopped from like 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. or maybe even 6 p.m. It sucks. It's really shitty. It's a shitty drive. So at best, we would definitely move up onto the peninsula as opposed to staying in Norfolk, if we chose to remain in this area. But yeah. Good morning, everybody. Landon, Gary, Jingai. The South sucks. No sidewalks. No, there's sidewalks here. I'm just walking around in like a park. There's even a path through the park, but I was specifically here. Let me try to show you. There's like this row of shade where all these trees create like a big blanket of shade, and it's sort of far enough from the sidewalk that the road noise isn't so bad, but it's also not deep enough into the park that it like interacts with anybody else who's at the park. So this is pretty much the spot I have found that I can most conveniently do these live streams without ever getting bothered. I just kind of pace back and forth across this really long stretch of yard and ramble into the camera, and almost nobody ever wanders over here. Sometimes they're like cutting the grass over here, but the grass has clearly been cut recently, so I would say I don't have to worry about that. There are definitely parts of the South where there ain't no sidewalks, though. It all depends on where you is. Also, what type of South you're talking about. There's so many different versions of the South in the United States. Big ass country, half of it south of the other half. So Virginia is like the northernmost thing that is considered south by anybody, and how south it is really it depends on where you're at in Virginia, how south it feels. Let's switch what bag this is on. Its hip balance feels off. Georgia, Alabama, Kentucky. Now, see, I don't think Kentucky's actually that southern, though. Having lived there a bit and gone to its major cities, like, it definitely feels like the South, but the people are... I feel like Kentucky people are pretty open-minded and not especially, like... It's not that they're not hicks. They're definitely hicks, but, like, most of them are just drug addicts, you know? Like, it's not a... They're not, like... There's a lot of places... I don't know. I guess it depends on what your stereotype is of, like, Southerners also, though. Like, I would say Kentucky has Southern hospitality, and so does Virginia. But, like, they feel more culturally Northern than... Like, Kentucky owes its culture to Chicago ripple effect. It's, like, the very furthest border of Chicago ripple. And that's because Chicago is close enough to... Like, all the major cities in Kentucky are up in the northern part of Kentucky. So, like, everything that borders Ohio and Indiana is, like, where everybody lives in Kentucky. So that culture is where the diaspora trickles out through the rest of Kentucky. But then when you get to Tennessee, it's, like, a different story, where Tennessee is just totally its own thing. They have a very particular, insistent culture, you know, like... So when you're in Tennessee... You feel like you're in the South in a sense because it's bluegrass country and like everything is about country music and bluegrass and all that shit and, you know, Southern style hot chicken and fucking, you know, they really have the branding. But it also does feel kind of modern because Tennessee's not that big and there's 3 huge cities in it that, again, radiate all of its culture out, mostly that being the one in the middle, Nashville. So, like, Nashville, I feel like, you know, if you live in a radius of Nashville, you are a product of Nashville culture, which is a type of Southern culture, but it's not the same as, you know, Georgia, Alabama, which themselves are different. Like, Atlanta, that's its own culture, you know, and that has a huge radiation outward. But, like, New Orleans is a different culture that has its own radiation outwards, you know, so... I think you got to take it more on like a city by like a metro by metro area, you know, basis. I'm from Hampton Roads. Hampton Roads has its own culture. It's a very weird, kind of indistinct, schizophrenic culture, and that's because Hampton Roads is mostly military bases and shipbuilding plants, and you know, like. There's a lot of old white people who just have lived here for generations, but their children are all gone. And all of the young, you know, anybody Gen X and lower is like not from here, with few exceptions. People like my mom who've come back, you know. And even then, she's technically from Newport News. So it's not like she went back to the town that she's originally from. She's lived all over the Hampton Roads area, you know. But it is kind of like at least staying within somewhat of a culture that, you know, but like she's also the first generation to have in her family to have been born there. Her mom comes from Hillsville, Virginia, which is way the fuck out in the boondocks, you know, somewhere you have to like be trying to get to type of a place. There ain't no major highway that takes you to Hillsville. So that's just pure, you know, Appalachian small town culture, you know, that was brought here, just like every other culture that's been brought here. So to me, Hampton Roads is like a purely a melting pot type of a culture. It's just whatever we happen to get from Atlanta and New York and people from all over the world, you know, and yeah. Did you know Scoop from YMS died yesterday? I did hear. I don't know how he died, but, you know, rest in peace. I'm pretty sure I remember that dude's voice. I've never been like somebody who looked into like the lore of everybody who's in YMS videos like that, you know. I've mostly just watched his reviews. But if that's the dude who I think it is, it's upsetting. I mean, it would be upsetting if it was any of them, I guess. But that guy in particular was really funny. How am I able to yap so much? Tell you what, that is a super chat question, because I would go on about that. I'm not gonna answer free questions. I will only let my mind ramble into whatever directions it decides to go, unless otherwise paid. Landon's answer: she's Trixie. That's how. Well, yeah, you know that's true. I see a strange dog over there. I don't think I can turn my camera around, which is unfortunate. I don't think I've got a way to flip it on this StreamYard thing. It's really not built for this type of streaming, but I've just wanted to test if I could do this to both. If I could stream from my phone both to YouTube and Twitch at the same time. And the answer is yes through StreamYard, but not vertically, which sucks. Gary always with $2 says tell him. Well, what makes you think he was only going to give $2? What makes you think that he might not have wanted to give $5 for the answer to that question, Gary? You can't just make assumptions on somebody else's benefit. I mean, if you want the answer to that question, you could have asked it yourself, but I'm not going to assume that your $2 and tell him, you know, thank you, Gary, I'm broke. All right, whatever. Mr. Fixable, you get this one just because you're broke. From one brokey to another, Gary's got your back, okay? Why can I talk so much? I had to think about this for a second. Well, I think it's just because my mom talks so goddamn much. And so when I think about why am I the way I am, a lot of it is just because my mom had a tremendous influence on me. And when I was born, my parents lived in an island called Alameda Island that's next to San Francisco. It's like in between, it's in the bay between San Francisco and Oakland, but it's connected to Oakland. So I was born in the Oakland hospital because there isn't one on that island, or at least wasn't at the time, you know? So then they moved to Treasure Island, another little island right in that same area. And then eventually to San Diego, where my brother Victor was born. And I think a few other houses. I know there was a point where we lived in, what's it called? Westminster, which is in LA, pretty much south of LA. And a couple other houses. Like, this is all by the time I was like 3, right? So in that time, my dad was originally in the Navy. I think he was 4 years into a 6-year tour when he met my mom. He had joined the Navy when he was 18. So because he just like didn't have food at home. So he dropped out of school to go join the Navy so he could eat. And, you know, after 4 years in the Navy of beefing up and becoming a hunky guy, he's on the prowl at some fucking like hotel bar in I think it's in Virginia Beach, or it's like on the Virginia Beach Norfolk border, like somewhere around there, the place they met. And maybe it was in, I don't remember. It was around here. My parents met. And then they moved to California because my dad was stationed out there, you know. So they got married right away, got moved out to California. So consider, the reason I had to tell you all that, to get to why I can talk so much, is that you have to understand that when I was born, my mom had moved recently across the country from anybody that she knows. Her whole family is stationed out here at the time. Most of them have now diaspored out throughout America, but still a few of them live here. This is the central Virginia, I mean to say. not even literally Hampton Roads, but this is like the central point of where her family's from. So when I was born, my mom's family was not around at all. My dad's family was stationed out in California, but again, kind of broadly. His brother Johnny was living in San Diego. His brother Johnny is a maniac and a madman, so whatever influence he might have had on me as a child is almost certainly what's made me insane. Um, and his other brothers, his older brother Ken lived out there. I don't know if his younger brother still lived. His other younger brother still lived out there. My dad's got 3 brothers. They all kind of look like the Ninja Turtles when you put them together. And at the time he had family out there. So my mom, she met his family and stuff, and she had military housing and like some kind of budget with like food stamps and shit to go get food. But there were times where my dad was just on deployment or was just like, I don't know, fucking playing too much volleyball and video games and not really being at home that much to help take care of the kids. My mom didn't really talk to anybody else. She didn't know anybody in the area. She's not really that amazing at making friends. So she talked to me. I'm almost certain my mom just constantly talked to me about whatever she was thinking the whole time that I was a baby. I'm pretty sure that she was just talking to baby me incessantly in absentia of my dad being there to talk to or her knowing anybody else in California, particularly when she was pregnant with Victor. And she's described that as like the most difficult period in her life, basically, is when she was pregnant with Victor. She was living in a really sketchy apartment, and she said she was like literally scared every single time that she had to go out to, get food. She would, have to either, I guess she probably had to leave me in the apartment to go do that. So that's probably was on her mind too. Um, yeah, she was not happy about the state of things at that time. But for me, it was just an endless inpouring of information of my mom talking at me. And I think that pretty much set my whole personality in stone. But like when I was a little kid, I didn't necessarily feel that I needed to speak myself. And I've been told, I didn't really talk much at first. My parents thought I might be autistic. They took me to the doctor, and the doctor was like, "No, it's fine," which I'm very happy about. Glad I wasn't like put on some kind of weird medication in the early '90s. That sounds awful. But yeah. So I grew up being pretty quiet most of the time until I felt the need to unleash my speaking, and then it just kind of doesn't stop. And that's still pretty much true. Like I understand when I need to speak more now, so I'm more capable of it. But even then, Bird sometimes gets really frustrated with me just not responding to things, like just feeling like I don't need to say anything. And then he'll be like, "Hello, Beatrice, are you going to like say something to confirm that you just heard what I said?" Maybe just even a heard would be nice. And sometimes it's because I legitimately didn't hear it. I can dissociate really hard. And so, if it seems like, oh, I never shut up, it's like a coordinated thing. It's like if I turn on a camera and I start talking at it, I know I can create an endless stream of words. But otherwise, I have no context to do it. Like, why would I be speaking if there's not a context for me to speak? And I really hate being ignored. So I won't talk to somebody if I don't think they're paying attention, if I think they're half attentive, if I have to like stop, ask them if they still understand what I'm saying, and when I talk to the internet, I know half of you are like drifting in and out and dissociating and just trying to get your edge your word in or get me to respond to something you're saying. But like, when I get on a roll, basically nothing else exists to me. And, I just kind of pretend that everybody is paying attention so that I can keep speaking. and I don't have evidence to the contrary. That's the nice thing about being on the internet. You know, you can rant all day and you don't have to watch people glaze over. You can just assume they're doing it. Slightly acoustic. Interesting. Gary, I don't think that makes it okay, considering that I did not grow up in Oakland at all. Um, Although, funnily enough, a lot of my favorite musicians, like of all time, come from Oakland just by coincidence, or maybe it's just an awesome place for music. But you know, Del the Funky Homo Sapien, David Diggs, fucking Spelling, all from Oakland, I believe. Or no, Spelling's from Sacramento. I got that one wrong. That's right. She's from Sacramento. No, but David Diggs um, and Del the Funky Homo Sapien are two of my favorite rappers, most influential on me for sure. Um, was it Life Seeker? I think comes from Oakland, or no, they're from San Jose. I don't know. I know there's another like rapper or artist from Oakland. Oh, Fantastic Negrito. Yes, Fantastic Negrito also comes from Oakland. He's phenomenal. That's who else I was thinking of. Gary, the culture everywhere in America is that everyone says the N-word all the time. We just pretend we don't on the internet. That's the only place it's not okay to say the N-word in the United States. I guess maybe California is different because California is like really super woke, and it's kind of starting to affect the rest of the U.S. I think things are different in different places, but man, it's so funny when you're in the South and you just hear. The other day I was like at I don't know, just some kind of regular fast food restaurant, and I see what is obviously like a soccer team, you know, just like a bunch of big dudes, maybe like two black guys, four white guys, and they're all just and back and forth. And I was like, this is what I remember being 19 being like, you know? This is how I remember it being. I'm glad to know that being 19 and surrounded by dudes hasn't changed in any way, shape, or form. Race has nothing to do with it. It's purely an age and honestly a lot of a gender thing as well. But Oakland uses the N word the way the rest of California uses dude. That's hilarious. Again, that's very normal here also. Like, particularly in Richmond, you know, you never stop hearing it. Um, yeah, I don't know. In my experience, America, for the most part, is not that concerned about the words they use. It's it's about what you can like. The only reason the N word matters on the internet so much is because of advertisers. It's that like there's this split mentality about like, okay, well, it's all right for rap to have it. It's all right if black people say it, but if anybody else says it, then we're gonna get complaints. So you know, but like the same thing's kind of now transpiring with faggot, where it's like, well, I guess gays are allowed to say it because what are we gonna tell them they're not allowed to say it? You know, like, but like if anybody else says it, it's gonna affect the advertising. You know, so I don't know. I think it's all market. I mean, I said this right, marketing, not morals. I think I literally went on this rant when I gave my original N-word rant way the fuck back when PewDiePie said it. Like, this just is a marketing thing. It is what it is. I don't believe in it at all. I don't think it's. I don't think many people do. I don't think many people give a shit. But it's the state of the world. You gotta, you gotta keep it funny. You know, people have decided it's not funny to hear white people say the N word. So, you know, you got to take it out of your playbook. I think it's really embarrassing that so few people are saying faggot that now Melanie Mack can have a whole career doing it. Like, literally, her entire career is being the white bitch that will still say faggot on the internet. And I'm like, okay, nothing makes you special. Like, I can say it with impunity. Like, I don't care that you're straight or whatever you purport to be. I don't really believe in straightness. I think if you're saying the word faggot all the time, it reveals something about you in and of itself. The insecurity over the fact that you are probably gay or probably trans or whatever it is you have deep inside you, maybe asexual, whatever makes you feel like a faggot, that makes you feel like you need to call people faggot all day. When you keep saying it, it just makes me think that's you. So I look at Melanie Mack and I think, what's the difference between her saying faggot all day and me saying faggot all day? Why does she have a career with this? Just because of the makeup? What is it, the braids? I don't know. Anyway, fuck that bitch, Melanie Mack. I hope she gets smacked by a yak and attacked in the Adirondacks by 2 yaks. Yakety yak, yak, yakety yak, yak. It's the yak attack. What's on your mind, chat? What's going on? I'm just wandering around this fucking place, thinking about what else I gotta do today. Once I have the office later tonight, I'm probably gonna try to finish that Jujutsu Kaisen versus Evangelion video. It was already late, and I was working on it the day that Riley got arrested. I was planning to probably finish it the next day, had I not then spent 6 days driving to and from Texas. And about when I got back, somebody asked me something about that video, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess I didn't finish that before I took a 6-day detour out of my life. Great. So, I'm gonna do that later. Faggot and fascist come from the same Italian root word? I did not know that. Why do hose nozzle fittings always fucking leak? I don't know. I guess the technology is just not all there. That or you're getting cheap ones. I don't know. Go ahead, I'm having a sip. I've exhausted myself. This is a weird angle though. Uh-oh, I didn't mean to put that on screen. How do I make this angle less shitty for me? There we go, that looks kind of cute. Alright, chat, tell me what's up. What's up in his house? You finished the Jujutsu Kaisen anime while I was away, so you're ready for it. Nice, perfect. That's good news. What did you think? Did you like it? Gary always at $2. Did Riley arrest change your thinking on anything? It definitely made me realize, like, how easily the police can be manipulated, especially by somebody with money. Like, one of the people we told the story to said, like, well, maybe you shouldn't drive around making fun of billionaires, which I thought was really funny because it's like a very practical way of looking at the situation. It's kind of what everybody's thinking, right? Is like, well, I wouldn't try to fuck with this guy who's got a lot of money and backing and friends and power, But like, that's exactly why the person deserves to be fucked with. And like, the fact that everybody else is afraid of it is kind of like, well, okay, you all seem like cowards if you're not willing to push this guy's buttons. But then it's because I guess everybody else feels like they have more to lose. Riley's like trying to build something off of
coming at this guy and like proving that he's a piece of shit, sort of usurp his spot culturally, but everybody else is just kind of trying to maintain their own spot, so it's a little bit harder for them to go like, oh, I'm gonna go full in on fucking with this guy, when it could come at the expense of whatever I'm doing normally. So like, I understand why he was in the best position also to be the one coming at Eric, but I wish I wish more people supported this type of content openly, because it's hard to like market this stuff. Like Riley just gets fully removed from platforms like Twitter. You know, it's always hard to promote this type of stuff through YouTube. A lot of people are just down on it in general, of like the edgier content, and I don't know. I feel like there used to be a time where people would see you doing something like this and start throwing money at you. Like, and I don't just mean like viewers. I mean like people who can tell that what you're doing is really, like, Eric Andre had to have started somewhere. At some point, somebody saw this guy doing crazy stuff and went like, "We're gonna throw a bunch of money at you." And I wonder if it's just like you have to know the right people, that you have to walk the right lines, but no one has ever showed up to try to tell me or Riley like, okay, here's exactly what you got to do, and and we'll throw a bunch of money at it. So it's kind of like we're doing what seems obvious, but it's a tough battle because the people we're fighting against are playing inside the system, and we're coming in from outside the system. So like, it makes me feel like it's a it feels like, how many people throughout history have known they were completely right, and it didn't help them at all, because all of the powers were working against them. You know, um, Personally, I am always willing to fight the power no matter what, and I see what Eric did as using the force of the law to just shut somebody up that he didn't like, and literally take away his freedom. His like Nothing that Riley has done to Eric has ever infringed on Eric's freedom in any way. What Eric did to Riley literally stripped him of freedom for a whole weekend, and has, now put him in a financial position where he has to defend himself in order to protect his freedom further. It's kind of, I don't know. It's messed up to be put in that kind of defensive position just because you made fun of a guy who deserves to be made fun of, And the fact that Texas actually does have a law that's like you can't embarrass someone, that sucks, I think that would be worth fighting in and of itself, but that's such a high level fight. I can't even conceive of how you would do that without, I guess, just having the most amazing legal representation. But are they even going to try to fight what is the law? I doubt it, But like, in terms of the case itself, there's so much evidence of Eric threatening and bullying and inviting Riley. It's like ludicrous to think that someone would look at all that and not conclude that like it was totally bullshit for Riley to get arrested. But you know. Again, best hope is good representation. All right, I've caught up on chat. Tell me more things. I need information. A constant flow of information. Take me into the sea of information on Earth.
It's very pleasant out. It's cooled down a little bit, which is odd. I thought it would get hotter, but maybe it's just the spot I'm sitting. Oh no, it's just because a cloud had passed over the sun for a second. Scream at Gary? You have to pay for that. Why would I do that without getting paid for it? Why would I just scream at Gary? Gary's done nothing but give me money and ask me nice questions today. I've been diving into Moe lately, and your old-ass anime cast on Moe was insightful toward the genre. You've also wondered in it what Moe would be like in the next decade. That would be Girls' Last Tour. Kinda, I guess. I feel like that was still a part of the previous Moe. I think the current Moe is pretty much full on, like, Watamote influenced Disaster Girl, like girl failure. That's the phrase. Girl failure. That's the current Moe. Is like just abject, like, not even good at being cute level of Disaster Girl. Because Moe has reached girls too, where like like I think traditional Moe was like closeted trans men looking at like a cute little girl that looks like how they want to look, but she's like a fuck up the way they're a fuck up, but then she gets better. And then now like actual cute girls are like, yeah, but actually I'm a fuck up at even this aspect, so I need my cute girl to be bad at being a cute girl, I think that's how we've gotten here. Kino Casino just released a 2-hour takedown on Dick Masterson. I'm sure it's fucking pants shitting retardation the whole time. Those guys, I assume that the joke of Kino Casino is that, like, these are the two people who should least be saying anything that they're saying on it. Like, two of the, like, the lowliest lol cows on the internet. That is the one I'm thinking of, right? PPP and fucking, oh god, Andy Worski. Like, Andy Worski is exclusively known for like having done too much coke and drinking online. That's all anybody knows him for. He is known as the cokehead streamer, and I think he's supposed to be cleaned up now. But he'll talk about other people and like condemn their drug, like, act like all holy about their drug use, and it's like, bro, you are only known for how obliterated you used to get. That's it. You're not good at speaking. You have a terrible shit voice. You look like a fuckboy twink. Like, I don't know what he thinks people are getting out of it other than making fun of him. And then you got PPP, who has only ever been a lolcow. Only ever been known as a lolcow. So, like, it's just, like, mind-blowing to me to see two, like, abject lolcows. Again, these aren't people who... I'm a lolcow. I'm known for something. I'm known for analysis videos. I'm known for, like, being a decent podcaster. Those two guys are not known for those things. They are known for doing too much coke and being a lolcow. That's it. And their whole show is literally just acting holier than thou about other creators, and usually just totally fabricating shit, making up lies. I haven't even heard this Dick Masterson thing yet, but I'm sure I'm going to get really angry at all the lying and implying that I'm going to hear. Dick's been out here saying, like, hey, the next person who lies about me, I'm just going to sue, So if these idiots decided to start calling Dick a sex trafficker or a pedophile, they're probably going to get sued, and that's going to be fucking hilarious. That's going to be fucking hilarious, because I am ready for that era. Y'all, I don't know how many people remember back, when I did Digibro versus everybody, and Turkey Tom, back when he was first getting started, had made a video that said Digibro is a pedophile, like, in the thumbnail.
and I can't got him to come on my show to like scream at him about like, this is fucking libel, right? Like, that I can literally sue you. Like, I don't want to because you are a dumb idiot like teenager, but you should really take this thumbnail down. And he eventually removed that whole video. But like, there's a point at which like I can laugh at it or be like, oh haha, people call me a pedophile again, block. But like at some point, if you try to like spread that, if you're trying to like tell everybody these lies about me and like make that my reputation, it's like, well, I don't know what to do other than take you to court and tell you you're not allowed to fucking say that shit to me, about me, because I ain't do nothing, So what the fuck? Like, I don't understand how I have to deal with this in perpetuity when I didn't fucking do anything. So, at some point the law has to come into focus. And just like what I'm saying about with the Eric July situation, where like I don't have the monetary ability to go after anybody like that. I'm fucking broke. I can't just summon a bunch of legal fees and say I'm gonna sue Null from Kiwi Farms. I can make fun of Null from Kiwi Farms for 6 months and hope that it makes me enough money to sue him. But I cannot just from thin air generate the revenue to sue Null from Kiwi Farms, deserving as he is. But Dick might, Dick might be able to do that. Dick's got millions of dollars to fuck around with. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when, when the fuck around and find out comes around the other way. You wish Rika Fag argued with me more? We have cute chemistry? I don't think so. You haven't heard about Andy in years. Remember him being an anti-SJW YouTuber? Yeah, that's the realm. I only heard of him as a guy from Ethan Ralph's show. Like, I just knew him as a regular guest on the Kill Stream, because Ralph would always collect like 4 or 5 guys who literally get kicked off of everything else and have that be like his crew, his interchangeable 6 or 7 edgelords or whatever. Worski was on that list, but he would always be just like completely fucked up, and it was hilarious. Like, I think he's a funny lolcow because he's always so obliterated all the time and just like dumber than shit. But again, when they get to a point where they're just lying and making shit up about you, it's like, well, okay, I don't know. I want to laugh, but ultimately I can't let you keep saying these things, I need more super chats. I need more super chats to increase my ability to be a millionaire. Or donations through Venmo and Cash App. Golden Witch Fire. That way YouTube doesn't take a third. They take a third. It's so much. It's crazy. But that's before tax, which is another third. It's brutal. It's brutality. I'm also on Zelle. goldenwitchfire@gmail.com to my Zelle. There's like an odd stick next to a tree over there that I thought was like a tail of an animal for a second. And I was like, what the hell is that? Everyone else has decided they're just letting Gary Always bankroll the morning stream on $2 super chats. Sadness. There's a string of boarded up buildings over there. I wonder what it would cost to buy one of these little shops on this road. There's a really cool looking coffee shop across the street from me. I've never been in there, so I'm not huge on coffee. Bird would be, but he's never thought, to actually check it out. But we should sometime, because it looks neat. Cypherson sucked us with $5, just said, money? Money, 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 motherfucker. Bug landed on me while I was doing that. Money on my motherfucking mind. Got 10 haircuts at the same time. I don't know more words of that song. Money. I have a money playlist on my Spotify. I'm trying to think of what else is in it. Well, obviously, there's. I need to add money. It's a crime. I know it's got a couple other songs that are just called like Money. Money Trees. Money Trees is the perfect place for shade. Imagine rock up in them projects where they come and pick your pockets. Santa Claus don't miss no stockings. Bacon soda Yola whipping. Ain't no turkey on Thanksgiving. My homeboy just domed. I just hope the Lord forgive him. Pots of cocaine residue. Every day I'm hustling. What else is a thug to do when you're eating cheese from the government? Gotta provide for my daughter and them get the fuck up out my way, bitch. Got them drums and I got them bands just like a parade, bitch. Drop that work up in the bushes. Hope them boys don't see my stash. If they do, tell the truth. It's the last time you might see my ass. Broken promises till your watch and tell you what time it is. Take your J's and tell you to kick it where a Foot Locker is. In the streets with a heater under my dungarees. Dreams of me getting shaded under a money tree. What's the biggest super chat I've received? Penguin says I bet like 150. That's I think I've gotten 200 before. I feel like I've gotten a $200 super chat once before. Because I remember it staying for like the entirety of the stream. But I can't remember. It would have been a long time ago. It wouldn't have been recently. I've definitely gotten some $100 ones recently. I think 100 and Leaf Blady left like 150 or something like that. No, that was probably through another means other than super chat though, right? No, I think it was. It was like $100 super chat to watch an analysis video or something like that Leaf Blady did. I think that's the biggest one. And then Leaf Blady switched over to using Cash App and Venmo because they are always sending, large donations to watch long videos. He won with $5. List the anime that would be on your current day 3x3. Okay, let's try to figure that out. So I'm guaranteed putting Shirobako on there just because it's the anime about making anime. I think it will always have that edge. It's the best IP about IP in a way. So that has like a guaranteed spot for me. Fuck. I want to keep this to just TV shows. I don't want to involve movies because I think that deserves its own separate 3x3. So I'm still going to keep Sangatsu no Lion because I'm sure I would still get a lot out of that watching it today. I think I need to keep Evangelion because it's too deeply entrenched into my consciousness now for me to not. Log Horizon. I just really, really enjoy Log Horizon. Out of all of the isekai style video game based shit, it's still my favorite and the one that had the most influence on me. So I'm gonna say that's my favorite of that whole category. Kill La Kill probably still belongs in there. Space Dandy probably still belongs in there. Very biased towards like 2014 when I started writing about anime again. Just so happened that a bunch of good shit came out right at that time. What's been my favorite stuff like recently? Has anything breached my I don't think anything would have breached my favorites list from last year that I watched. Oh, Revolutionary Girl Utena. Shit. Yeah. That might actually be my number one now. I've been enjoying rewatching that show so fucking much. Like, unridiculous. Just totally on another level than how I had liked it before, I think. It's a lot easier for me to imagine rewatching Utena than rewatching Evangelion, like as an entertainment product, because Utena's really funny and Ava's like occasionally a little funny, but also sometimes like really boring. So I'm gonna actually say, for now, we're gonna say my number one is Utena. We're going to say that number two is Shirobako. Number three is Sangatsu no Lion. Number four is Neon Genesis Evangelion. So those top four, I think I can definitely put up there. Number five will be Log Horizon. Number six, Kill La Kill. I need to rewatch Panty and Stocking. I really hope that gets picked up again. Like, I think that the reason somewhere deep in my heart that I've never rewatched it is that I always thought there would be a season two. And like, because the first season ends saying there will be, but then everybody left and made Trigger right after that, and the IP stayed with Gainax. And like, now that Gainax is finally dead and the IPs are getting bought up, I think there's hope for more Panty and Stocking now. Maybe Cowboy Bebop's. I don't. I don't know if I would put Cowboy Bebop in my top 9. Maybe. I think I need to watch it again. It's a show that I've seen so many times that it really lives in my brain, but it's not always like, I don't think every single episode of it is like god tier, which I don't know. Maybe that's also true of Utena and stuff. So it probably could be. I would feel perfectly fine putting Bebop or Fooly Cooly in there, but both of them for me are so nostalgic that sometimes I watch it and it feels like white noise. Like, it doesn't feel like anything is actually happening because I've thought about it too much. Like, I'm like watching the scene in my head as before it's playing out, like speed running it before I can see it almost. It'll be like a scene will happen and I'll remember every take I've ever had on that scene in 40 years or whatever, 40 years, 20 years. I did not see a new Panty and Stocking trailer. If that's a thing, then that's incredible. Eureka 7 I have praised a lot. It definitely hit a lot more with me when I was younger, though. It's very much a coming of age type of a show, and even though it does have some good older characters, um, there's a lot of space in Eureka 7 that could have been tightened up. I think it's really more plot driven than it needed to be. I think I like everything where it just settles down with the characters is really good. So I don't know. Maybe it could have been a longer show, more like actually, a show that does the same kind of thing, but better at being a kids show and better at being an adventure show is fucking Pokemon Horizons, which feels very similar in like that you've got like all these older characters and then the couple of younger ones that are kind of underneath them. And while it doesn't have the same edginess that Eureka 7 had, it has a lot of the same messages, and it is probably communicating them a lot more clearly to the intended audience, which Eureka 7 is kind of aimed at young adults, or like teenagers. It's aimed at like kids who are just getting old enough to like see a serious story, you know. But it's what I would describe as a clock show, as in a show that aired early morning on Sundays, and therefore the clock is on screen the entire show. Um, Same with Gurren Lagann. So it's like those are shows that they're for children, you know. And even if they have a lot of content that makes it accessible for an adult, it it doesn't hit the same way as it did when like the very broad message of like get things by your own effort was like revolutionary to me as a 17-year-old. As an adult, I'm like, yeah, I've been doing that. Like, been doing that. Thanks, Eureka 7, for telling me this way back then. But like, I'm you're preaching to the choir now. Um, and a 50 episode show, that that has lots of room to be tightened up and isn't necessarily aimed at me specifically as an adult just doesn't quite make the level of, something like Bebop that is more dense. Like, it is easier for me to imagine just rewatching all of it, just throwing it on because it's good, um, even if I don't feel like I have to because I've seen it so many times I can remember it. All right, so what have we covered so far? Utena, Shirobako, Sangatsu no Lion, Neon Genesis Evangelion, Log Horizon, Kill La Kill, and then we just added another one, right? 6. No, we're still on 6. Oh yeah, Space Dandy. 7, Space Dandy. What else is something I feel like I could throw on right now and I'd be like, this is fucking awesome? I'm trying to think, like, I have never rewatched Ping Pong. I don't know if that's as good as I remember it being. So I don't think I was that into Ping Pong until the last couple episodes being like really incredible. So that's probably not like a favorite. Maybe Serial Experiments Lane. I feel like Lane I could rewatch endlessly and I'll still feel like I'm getting something out of it, and like it's just had such an impact on the culture of people I communicate with, I feel like it belongs on my favorites list. So maybe Lane will be number 8. It's just like the most of a cyberpunk anime that's ever existed. I guess K-On!, yeah, we could maybe keep K-On! For number 9. I have a harder time imagining revisiting K-On! Now, though. I don't know. It's again something I feel like I've kind of aged out of. Like another thing where like it came to me right at the moment when I needed that message. Trying to think of anything else. K-On! Is still very good, so I could still see putting it in my top list just because it is very good. I guess we could stick with that. Karekano probably, I don't know. I have to rewatch Karekano to decide if I think it deserves to kick Ava out. I don't want to put two from the same. I don't want to put 2 different Anos in there. Ultimately Ava lives in my brain rent free. Karekano doesn't. Like it's a really good show. That's another one where, like, I don't know, I used to watch a lot of romantic comedy anime before I had a relationship because I watched them because I wanted that kind of relationship. Now that I have a good relationship, I don't really watch a lot of rom-coms, I mean, early into our relationship, we watched Kaguya-sama Love is War, and that felt like a important bonding experience for the way that our relationship was going at the time. But like I don't know, we're both more like, I guess, family oriented, so I'd be more interested in watching stuff like a Spy Family that is not really a romantic comedy per se. It's more of a family comedy, Um, so yeah, I probably just wouldn't watch as much stuff about like a budding romance, especially between, again, teenagers. Like, it's gotten really hard for me to relate to teenage characters. I'm fucking 33, it's the stuff that they're dealing with is stuff I can no longer imagine giving a fuck about at all, so it's especially hard for me to get like invested in a teenager's problems. I guess the most recent one I enjoyed was Skip and Loafer, and that's because the characters were like a little bit more mature, and the scope of the story felt bigger than high school. Like the one girl was trying to bring like culture back to her hometown, and the boy was like an actor who had all this like history and like a career outside of school. The fuck? Some strange ass bug was just on me. What the fuck are you? Oh, that was a spider. What the fuck? It looks like a fucking Black Widow spider. I am freaked out.
I just had what looked like a black widow spider on my neck, and I threw it off. Yeah, maybe I'd enjoy rewatching Nana. I remember Nana being incredibly fucking depressing, though. I'd probably rather read the manga since it actually like had an ending. The ending of the anime was just like some bullshit. Oh god, I'm like, that was a big black widow looking spider on my neck that I grabbed and threw onto the ground and then identified as a spider. I don't think I've ever quite had such a threatening spider experience before as just now. I'm not bit, right? There ain't no bite on my neck. Can't really tell. Can't see. Oh god. That's not a spider bite, right? That's just a place where I have a skin tag or something, I think. Oh, Jesus. That's like right where it was coming, though. It was like right there. That was unpleasant. That was unpleasant. Am I going to turn into a Spider Woman now? Is this how I become Madam Web? I'm going to turn into Madam Web. I'm getting the hell out of here. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't like this place anymore. That was a full-on, probably a Black Widow. It had the red hourglass on a black body. It was big. And it was on my neck. Ready to bite my neck. Probably. Not fundamentally. It's rare that I say such a thing. Oof. Jesus Christ. Somebody please super chat serotonin back into my brain. I don't want to think about the spider anymore. Yeah. Oh, Jesus. What an unpleasant time. I knew I should have wore bug spray before I left the house. I knew it was going to be a problem. I didn't expect it to be a spider problem. I thought I was going to get mosquito bites. I didn't even get one mosquito bite. Fucking Black Widow on my neck. Yeah, I do think I grabbed it before it could have bit me. I mean, I didn't feel anything. I'm pretty sure I would have if it had bit me. But, you know, it was just the fact that I felt anything at all, put my hand around it, flung it to the ground, and then identified it as a still alive Black Widow spider. $2. Do you ever watch Schnee or Local Script Man? I have never heard of either of those. What do they do? Local Script Man. No, not at all. The like phantom feeling of that crawling and then grabbing is not leaving me. These scripts, man. Schnee does media analysis and Local talks about fiction writing. Okay, well those both sound like things I'd be interested in, so I'll have to check them out. Now I'm back on the sidewalk where I can look like an insane person talking to myself. Before I started recording, I had to outpace some meth heads in the neighborhood. This guy kept ranting about $60 to do it in the front and back, and I couldn't tell if he was talking to the girl who was helping him or if he was trying to talk to me. And I was like, what? It's fucking not even noon, dude. What are you on? It was wild. But it's a hot one. It's a scorcher, you know? Tends to boil the weirdos out. Boil everything up to the surface when it gets super hot out. Have I already talked about Death Note? If so, what's a good video by you? I've only talked about it really kind of in fits and spurts. Honestly, if you just search like
Trixie Death Note or Digibro Death Note, you will probably get anything I've ever said about it. I tend to keep my tags pretty organized so that people can find my old shit. Otherwise, if you just want me to rant about it, you can always super chat a request for that, and I'll just tell you my thoughts as I remember it. It's been a long time, though, since I consumed Death Note, I mean. What should I change that other, the After Dark channel? What if I just like gave that to Bird and let him stream on that channel independently of me, and then like named it just like the Bird Show or some shit? What should I do with that channel? It's just sitting there right now, doing nothing. I'm sure it's algorithmically probably dead, but it's still monetized. And, well, actually, I don't know if that's true, because YouTube changed their monetization policy, and it might be that it's inactive enough that it's not monetized anymore. I'm pretty sure DigiDoes Anime is still monetized, though, because I'm pretty sure I still get paid for that channel. But that hasn't been uploaded to in like fucking 10 years. Maybe I'll turn that into the Bird channel. Would Bird want to stream? Yes. So Bird's been, considering trying to get more involved in streaming. I think that part of the issue is, I've been making the most money just getting paid to like sit down and watch stuff, regardless of whether Bird is there. So it's hard to like imagine how we're both going to, like, how him being on my stream would make me more money. I think the better idea is to compete, because we actually do have different audiences and different appeals. My appeal is I don't shut up, and I'm really mean. So, like, people want to hear me give edgy takes, and they want to hear me give, like, thoughtful, philosophical answers to questions and shit. They don't want to, like, vibe with me or chill or, like, play video games or do stuff that's honestly what most streams are. I think Bird is a lot better at, like, being a likable human that you just want to hang out with all day. So I think he'd draw a different crowd. And I wouldn't be worried if he split my crowd, because if you chose to pay him instead of me, whatever, we live together, But I think it would be interesting to have, not necessarily that we'd like always stream at the same time or like that level of competition, but just to have each of us have our own streaming show and see if we can both make money doing it, Because I feel like it's hard to make people feel the appeal of Bird on the internet if he's always attached to me, who, like, if you're coming for me and Bird is kind of secondary, then, like, you might enjoy him, but you don't really get a sense of who he is because you're more so, thinking about me. And I know there are people who would just connect to him more in absentia of me, And, like, in person, my ego is usually not, like, I usually don't let my ego be in control of situations. I let his ego be in control of situations, So in my everyday life, I'm not used to me kind of having to wrangle him and tell him what to do. But on live streaming, I'm the expert. I'm the one who knows how to do a show. I'm the one who knows how to do, well, particularly my show. I know how to do my show, And so if I have him involved, I kind of feel like I have to boss him around and, like, tell him what to do because he's on my show. And I don't really think that's a good way, again, to, like, get Bird's vibe, is like, he will always kind of, okay, well, I'm going to do what's good for the stream because you said so, kind of thing. But, like, I would love to see what his stream would look like. How would he develop it? He's way better at communicating with the audience. He would probably get more involved with, he would have more people involved in making his show better
you know, because he would be more closely communicating with his audience. He would figure out how to use technology and, you know, not fumble things all the time because he's thinking about the wrong things while he's trying to fucking set up, you know? So I just think it would be really interesting to see if he had his own streaming career, how it would look, and if it could surpass mine, because I think it could. Again, I think what he does is more normal for streaming. What I do is like constantly podcasting to a very tiny audience that is willing to pay me to keep podcasting, basically. Um, but it's definitely not the same vibe as any other live stream I've seen, except for ones that are just podcasts. But usually those only record once a week. Usually you don't have people recording 7 hours worth of podcast style content every single day. But you know, I'm changing. I'm bringing a revolution, changing the world, one stream at a time, teaching everybody how diluted the market can really get just by one person. Let's go. Competing with every other streamer who exists because I'm always live. Yeah, this is the ultimate lifestyle channel right here. The Trixie Lifestyle Network. All right, anybody else got anything else they want me to rant about? I'm going to end this soon because it's really hot out. And, yeah, I don't want to be outside anymore. I will probably continue with the garage stream after I get back home, because I don't think Bird's going to be home till like 3 o'clock probably at the earliest. So I still got some time, and I can't use the office till 5. So, you know, later tonight, my goal is to finish that Jujutsu Kaisen versus Eva video. When I'm down at the computer tonight, all I'm going to be doing is trying to finish that motherfucking video before I pass out, if possible. I don't know. There's still a lot of it left, but I think we got through the Gurren Lagann bit. So at the very least, it's just actual Jujutsu Kaisen and Eva footage from now on. Yay, Guts video. But yeah, I've taken on too much sunlight.